So I'm glad you're touching on some of this label stuff as well, because really this is the first time I've had somebody else who runs a label quite similar to mine, obviously lots of artists and things like that. So it's good to get your perspective and talk about this, because one of the things you touched on then is obviously producers who some just literally have got no presence. They're just firing music out and you can't find anything of them online. And I've had a problem with this as well. I think that really it should be with a release, it should be really a dual effort to kind of get things out.
Definitely between artist and label.
And one of the things I've actually done in recent times as well is if I sign a release, I check through everything that this person's going to do. And I almost try and have a checklist of everything I'm going to need and make sure they can adhere to it before I actually sign the music. And I don't need them to be doing like 50 posts a week on social media. I mean, they need to have a Spotify page that's up to date. They need to have their URLs of their social media matching. Do you know what I mean? Just so it's easier to kind of tag them and stuff and things like that as well. Because I'll do all the work as long as they're tagged in it. But I even feel like if you're doing that stuff as well, the music's going to perform a lot better. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you can write music, but if you want to release it, you've got to fall in line, haven't you, really, when it comes to that?
Quite militant, but I like it, Lee. That's quite intense, but no, it's not the way to do it, especially these days, man. Like, there's so much competition, there's so many artists about.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you take a vast interest in making sure the artists have got this stuff and advising on them then?
Not quite like that, but yeah, we do. Like, I mean, we learn it kind of over time, really, don't we? As well, you can kind of tell.
Yeah, we started a new series called Future Legends, where I mean, there's some people on there who have been around the block a little bit, but we tend to use it almost like a sort of training academy to. We didn't want to start up a sub label, because that's just effort and then starting from scratch on so many things. So it's just like an imprint on the same label, Future Legends, and we're going to run that for a bit. And there's like a fair bit of training, like we send out emails and we sort of, you know, help people to do some of that important stuff that they might not know, teach them how to pitch to Spotify for artists, for example, teach them, you know, the ways in which to get most you know, to beat the algorithm and get the most reach for their posts about their music and that sort of thing. So with more experienced artists, we tend to just trust that they know what they're doing. For example, like when Cleeks had a tune out with us, or when Clue or Pixis do you know what I mean? We're not going to teach our grandmother how to suck eggs, but like I hope that's a expression that people get. You're
not calling Pixis a grandmother then? Sorry, Marissa.
Rob's looking like I've never heard that expression before in my life. But, yeah, you know, with some of the newer people, it benefits them as much as it benefits us and the label to sort of walk them through some of this stuff, especially some of it's not particularly intuitive, you know.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. But even like people don't know what they don't know as well. I mean, I can definitely say that 99.9% of the artists I've said, look, you should be doing this. It's definitely going to help your releases, and I'll do this for you now. Just, you know, it's going to help in the future. They've all welcomed it as well. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, like the pitching, and I've given them a link to update their Beatport profile. You know what I mean? Just advise them. And, you know, if you start making playlists on your Spotify, it'll help to build it. Just little things like that. It does go a long way. And those people, you know, they come back around to the label. Might be a different kettle of fish when you're releasing with them as well then, isn't it?
There's so much to do, and you don't know it until you taught it. Yeah. Like particularly pitching playlists, like it's just so much to learn. So like, yeah, you can only learn it by learning it.
That's it. That's why, I mean, it's great, obviously, working with you guys. Even before I've started talking about my checklist, you're like, right, this is what we're going to do for the pitch, Lee. And I'm like, fucking hell, done it all for me, basically. So this is the job I'm obviously taking on that takes the most amount of work. So to work with guys like you who are already running a label and understand that, it's very refreshing.
What we try and do is be the kind of artists that we would want on the label, and we try and be the kind of label that we would want to be signed to as artists. So when we're able to do both of them as effectively as possible, like, because we know what it's like to have like artists who don't really try very hard to write their music. We know what it's like to be on a label that just doesn't give a fuck about, you, and you know, so being like, from having those negative experiences, it's a positive because it allows us to know what not to do as artists and as a label.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And now you work on that almost like I say, you're running it like a business, because you get artists go away and they talk to somebody else and like, fucking working this label was a dream. I mean, we've had a really good recommendation, really. I'm not afraid to even say it, but we had Profuse on the VTO label.
Nice.
And he said, he goes, this was one of the best and most smoothest and comfortable schedules I've had with the release. Can we do another one? I was like, yeah, fucking course we can. Do you know what I mean? So it's great to have that feedback and know you're actually doing it right as well. And I think that obviously brings people to the label when they hear that stuff, doesn't it?
And one of the things as well is when you pay artists, because for some reason it's still so rare to get paid for your music. You know,
but even not necessarily financially giving it, it's been transparent with that as well. So they see something, okay, it's not made money, but they see it's not made money,
but this one probably will next year. Yeah, completely. But you know, that's been good. Like, we've had people like larger artists come to the label because they know that we pay, you know, and there's a lot of labels that just make it impossible to ever get money from them. They add on extra costs. They have a huge threshold. Like, you've got to have £100 in credit before they'll transfer it to you. And, you know, it's just endless hoops. And so when you're paying people want to put out your music, put out their music with you.
Absolutely. And this is another thing that you've helped me with, obviously, with just streamlining my accounting a little bit. We had a chat about that not long ago, and obviously he gave me a bit of advice, and it helped for me as well. Do you know what I mean? And I've always done that. And when obviously the labels made money, obviously we paid out and stuff, but to be able to physically show people what's happening, and it's actually put me in a position now as well where I know what a release is probably going to make when we put it out, and therefore I'm you know, you can start offering that little bit of money up front and things like that as well when you've got those predictions. But yeah, absolutely. Do you know what I mean? Being transparent with your artists, and most of all as a label, being organized, you're going to get success. And that's when it changed for me, definitely.
Nice.
What's up, everyone? Leo HF here, the host of DNB Wraps. Thank you for watching our videos. If you like what you're hearing and seeing on the channel, please make sure you're subscribing to it. Please make sure you thumbs up the videos, and more importantly, let's get some comments going as well. It really helps the channel, and in order for us to provide this content to you, we do need the channel to grow. So we can't do this without your help. Hope you enjoy the video. Speak to you soon.